KFPN is happy to bring show for and about local pets, farm animals, and wildlife of our Foothill community. This program is brought to you in part by the, hey Tom, you should do this part.
By the Feed Barn Country Store, locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. By Jeff Holman Auto Center, a name you can trust for 28 years and growing. And by Sierra Hearth and Home, your certified specialists for water gardens, ponds, and waterfalls.
Welcome to Foothill Critters. I'm Susan Manning with the Feed Barn Country Store, and we're here to talk about local business supporting community organizations. And today, I have here with me Jackie Francisco and Gareth Standing, and they're involved with the APAL Save the Kittens program. APAL Save the Kittens program was the baby of Kathy Schmidt, and in 1999 she began pulling kittens out of the animal shelter in order to save them. These kittens have been spayed or neutered, they've had their first shot, and they've been dewormed. So Gareth, tell me how long you've been involved with the Save the Kittens program.
I think it's been about 5 years now.
Okay, great.
And many kittens.
Yes, and what have you done with the Save the Kittens program?
I foster. I'm a foster mother, and I pick up the kittens at the shelter, and I keep them until they're old enough to be spayed or neutered, and I take them to the veterinary, and they are spayed or neutered, and then I pick them up, take them home, and the next morning I take them to the feed barn where we have our condo set up for adoption.
Great. And you have 2 little bottle babies now, don't you?
3.
Oh, 3 bottle babies, yes.
They're only about 2 or 3 days old.
Yeah, and that, for anybody who's never bottle-fed baby kittens, it's really a rewarding job, but it's a heck of a lot of work. How many, at what hour intervals do you have to feed them?
I started out every 3. I've got them to every 4 hours now, 24 hours a day.
Yeah, so that's waking up in the middle of the night and feeding them to save these babies. And all of these shelters, Jackie, come from where? I mean, all of these kitties come from where?
All come from the animal shelter. And people often do call us, and because they know we're involved with kittens, and say, I've got kittens at my house, you know, can I bring them to you? And we always say, no, they have to go to the shelter first and kind of be checked out. And then the kittens are generally taken away from the mom. Sometimes the moms can go with the kittens while they're being, introduced to their new lives as pets, and they become socialized, which is a very important thing. Besides, having their health issues addressed right then. So I've been with the program for about 8 or 9 years, ever since I closed my store, which was called the Gold Diggers.
Oh,
that
great.
I had for many, many years.
Yes.
And then I needed something to do, and so this is what I do. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and they're beautiful kittens, and over 500 every year are adopted out of the feed barn. And we feel so proud to be a part of that program. And then we have what's called the Kitty Committee, and both of you are part of the Kitty Committee. Can you describe, each of you, what that means?
Well, one of our major jobs is to, we all take turns coming by your place once a week to check on the kittens. They go into the condos at your place as soon as they're altered, so somebody has to check them the next day and be sure that the incisions look all right, that they're not sneezing or coughing, and that they're happy and getting along with their condo mates, if there are any.
Sure. And Gareth, when you go into the store, the feed barn, what are some of the things that you have encountered with the kitties there?
Well, luckily, I don't recall any real problems. Once in a while, a couple of kittens won't get along, and we have to separate them into different condos, and then they're fine. But we just go in and make sure that they have their food and water and clean litter boxes and clean cages or clean condos, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Cleaning cleaning the condos is very important. It's an executive position.
That's right. That's right.
So
It
we're on our
is
hands and
a
knees.
very important position because the moment you clean it, they mess it.
That's true.
We know
Like, that's the way you babies
just
are.
what kitties
the way
do.
the babies are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at this little
Well,
one.
these kitties come from the shelter, and then they get their first shot, and they get dewormed and spayed or neutered after being in foster care. And foster care is important because you all make these kitties wonderful family pets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a fun job, but you don't have to keep them all. Then they come to the feed barn for adoption. So it's a really big program, considering over 500 are run through that program every year. Yeah.
That last year it was 598, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it averages out, if we're near 7,000.
Near 7,000.
For about 12 and a half years or so.
Sure.
It's almost 700 a year.
Sure.
So.
And so if people want to foster, they can call our shelter, or they can call Judy Hobbs and sign up to be a foster mom, or they can contact APAL at 223-0410 if they would like to be a part of the kitty committee. There are lots of jobs in getting these wonderful kitties homes, and we encourage everybody to spay and neuter. We love getting these kitties homes, but we really want to try to stop them getting to the shelter in the first place, because the animal shelter takes in more than 1,200 cats and kittens every year. Okay, so the Save the Kittens program, what are some of the things that APAL is doing with the Save the Kittens program that you're aware of in order to try to stop the flow of kitties?
Well, the spay and neuter program, of course, is the main thing.
Feral, the trapping of feral cats. They're brought in and spayed or neutered, and their little ears are
Notched.
notched.
Sure.
And so we will know if they show up again that they've already had their surgery.
Right.
And I think it's having quite an effect.
I think it is too, but there's only even just a few kittens and cats that are unaltered can grow into huge numbers.
Yes.
Tens of thousands in a
Right.
very short time, because of one pair of cats at 6 months or so, the female can begin to breed, and she can have as many as 6 kittens, and each of those 6 kittens can have 6 kittens in 6 months.
Right.
So that's like 12 kittens, a year for the parents, and so you can see how that multiplies. Just
Sure.
It's out of sight.
Right.
And so we hope the work we do is doing some good, and it's one of those things, you don't know how many you'd have if we weren't doing this.
Right. Right. Well, another thing that APAL has is a cat spay-neuter certificate that we hand out at the feed barn and at the animal shelter, and it assists with people who need assistance with $75 for a female and $50 for a male cat. And in some instances, that pays for the entire spay-neuter surgery. So APAL is really trying to get out there in the community and prevent overpopulation and pet suffering that comes from that.
It does. They do suffer, and one of the terrible things that happens in this community is that people will drop kittens off. I used to live on a big piece of property where there was a creek, and people would drop a kitten off at the creek. Saying, there's water there, it'll take care of itself. A small kitten like this doesn't know how to hunt and can't possibly survive, and will be, fall prey to some kind of a predator, or just die of starvation or disease, which is really horrible.
Sure.
Just look how healthy these are.
Yeah, they're beautiful kitties.
They are beautiful.
And we pull them from the animal shelter. Our animal shelter is beautiful. It's new. It's staffed by terrific animal-loving employees and great volunteers, and so this is a big community effort as a team to get these kitties out of the shelter, spayed or neutered so that they're not reproducing, and into foster homes, and then into the feed barn for adoption. Yeah.
One other thing, too, if we haven't answered everyone's questions, we have the APAL line.
Yes.
telephone line, which
Gareth
I-
answers that. Yeah, that's another job. And that's what number?
223-0410.
Yes. And that's APAL 223-0410. Okay, we want to remind you of some upcoming events with APAL. We have our Bark in the Park. Bark in the Park is a fun family day. We have a walk led by Sheriff Ryan, and that's a mutt strut at 9 o'clock. Registration can be done online at amadorapal.org. And the registration is $20 in advance or $25 the day of. The participants get to go on the walk with us with their dogs. The dogs get a bandana, the people get a cap. It's a fun day. We're going to have Busy Bees Dog and Pony Show. They're with us again, and they do live music and a dog show, and they have a rescued pony. So it's all rescued dogs and ponies. I would encourage you to really support APAL Humane Society. It's a great nonprofit organization, entirely volunteer and entirely funded by generous donations from our community. We think it's a great accomplishment that nearly 7,000 kittens have been saved through this program that otherwise our shelter would have had no option other than to euthanize. So Gareth and Jackie, thank you so much for all you do for APAL and the kittens and the Save the Kittens program.
Thank you for what you do. I don't know what we would do without your
It's our
space.
pleasure. We love these kitties.
I know you do, and you're so good to them.
So that's 223-0410 if you need help with kittens, and APAL Humane Society. Thank you from Foothill Critters.
We'll be back with more Foothill Critters right after this break.